Good day, you beautiful people of the Plaantik podcast. Welcome back to yet another show. I'm your host Tawsif, and with me today I have Ahnaf from the Atojos show, the ever jubilant, the ever enthusiastic. But before I pass it on to him, I must say we did miss you. It's been a month since our last episode, and even though we promised that this season we're gonna be a lot more regular, it just sometimes life takes over, and you just have to forego podcasts in the end. But anyway, I think it hasn't been that bad a month for you though, Ahnaf, has it? With graduating from IBA and then going to Bangkok for Coldplay.
Yeah, Coldplay, man, it was amazing. I actually met Abir there as well, in the concert.
Oh, yeah, he did say.
Yeah, so it was pretty
like
cool,
a big party.
Seeing Bangladeshi people over there, and when I was...
Did you meet the Wengerian poster guy?
Oh yeah, I actually
Wenger
saw
out,
him.
sorry.
Wenger out, sorry. Yeah, I actually saw him. He was one of a friend of my friend. So we actually went through the stadium together, and I wanted to take a picture with him, but then I looked over my shoulder and he was gone. I probably was busy taking his picture.
I think everyone's a mutual friend in Dhaka somehow. So
yeah.
I'm sure he's a friend of friend as well.
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, look, I think the next step should be to fly a Wenger out banner for these guys.
I know.
Everyone's,
I know,
yeah. That's the next level. So anyway, we'll stick to the topic. We'll get back to it. I know it's a long break since we last spoke, so we might be a little bit off flow, but we'll try to get the best out of ourselves. Yeah. So have you been able to watch any of the Champions League games recently, or any of the other games?
Oh yes, I mean this April's been full of exciting games, and I've got quite a few. Yeah, I think I've got quite a few, and I think the one we're going to talk about mostly is going to be the one with the most controversy, I guess.
Yes, and I know a lot of Real Madrid fans, have a go at us. So does Barcelona fans. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what collectively maybe people think we are Granada supporters or something, but I don't know. Has to be something. But obviously the Real Madrid versus the Bayern game saw a lot of controversy, as did the Barcelona PSG game before that. Yeah. Even the Atletico game with Leicester, the Plaantik that was called outside of the box. It's a very common thing, and it's not just in the Champions League. We see it so much more everywhere else in the Premier League as well. Right. But a lot of it has been cut down thanks to the goal line technology. Right. So what the next step, the natural next step for everyone, and this has been a debate for the last few years, is should there be video assistant referees? And actually 2 days before, the FIFA announced that there's going to be video assistant referees trialed for the World Cup next year, and that's quite exciting in a lot of ways. But I personally am caught two ways between, I've always had strong feelings against video refereeing, so I'll get back into that. But what are your thoughts? I mean, are you a pro video guy for football, or are you anti, or?
I'm not really pro, but I'm not also really anti. I think it's, if you've seen the goal line technology, it has helped the referees, and it has given the teams the transparency and, let's say closure, to knowing that, there was a goal or that wasn't a goal. But at the same time, it takes away a bit of fun out of the game, I suppose. And I think the VARs, or the video assistant refereeing, the FIFA or talking about implementing in Russia 2018, I think that will take more controversy out of the game. Now, whether controversies are good or bad, that's a different argument. But I think, the thing that comes to my mind is the Champions League game between Liverpool and Chelsea. I don't know which season it was, but it was a Luis Garcia goal, and there was so much controversy with that goal, whether it crossed the line or whether it did not cross the line. And it was so much fun, I get it, for the fans, for the players, for the club. It's heartbreaking, but as neutrals, that was the charm of football in one way. So, I'm actually also pretty torn as to whether I actually want it or not. because I also think that it could hamper the tempo of the game, which is very very important in a game of football. It could ruin a game's momentum, the tempo, intensity. So that is another thing that I'm concerned about. But overall, I think if it delivers in the long run, then I'm sure at least most coaches and players would love it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't have a specific problem with the video assistant refereeing per se, but for me, any technology, it needs to integrate into football rather than football integrating. I mean, football having to make way for the technology, and that's where my problem is. With the goal line technology, there was no issues at all, because it didn't, the introduction of it didn't need any rules to be changed. It was so simple, straightforward, so well planned out that it was just a smooth transition, and nobody even noticed that how it happened, because the game didn't change. But with other things where it might require, like, say, pause and breaks or introduction of other things that might change the game as we know it, changing the game itself for technology is where I have the problem, but not the other way around. So if there's a system that, if there's a new scientific revolution where we know in a blink of a second that there's a offside call and the referee knows straight away, I have no problem with that. But if we have to go back and replay, waste a minute, because I think right now one of the games actually trialed in a friendly, the Spain versus France game trialed the video assistant for offside, and mind you, both of the calls were good. But what happens in the other situation where it's not an offside, but the goal, it's not an offside, but it was called offside. You know what I mean? Because the situation was always that it was an offside, but it was not given. So you can get the goal back, saying, okay, it wasn't a goal. But what if it was a goal? How do you play? It's a bit. It gets messy for me. Interestingly, the 4 pointers that they want to make sure is, and one of them is not offside, is, in the video assistant should be able to say which ones are clear goals. If there was an obstruction within a goal, which is not just the goal line technology. The second one was clear Plaantiks, so if a Plaantik should be given. The third one was a direct dismissal, so not a second yellow, but a straight red card if it was a wrong, fully sent red card, so they'll be able to track back. And the fourth one is identification of players, and that's a common thing. Sometimes the referees give the wrong players the yellow or the red, and we've seen that happen so many times. So these are the 4 main things, and then, mind you, offside is not one of it. So what are your thoughts on that? Like, does that work for you, or?
I think it for the initial phase, I think it does work for me, because we're talking about, as they said, they can use VARs for 4 match-changing situations, and they've defined match-changing situations as goals, Plaantik decisions, direct red cards, and mistaken identity. And I think those are, for me, are at least for now, the match-changing situations, as you've pointed out. I mean, going back to decide whether it was an offside or not, I think that just becomes very messy, and it kind of reminds me of DRS, in cricket, how they use DRS, and if it's out, then it's out. But what if it wasn't out and you get a 4 off leg byes, and that that's a dead ball, so you don't get the 4, and then the ball is replayed, and who knows what's going to happen then again. So there's controversy for DRS as well, and I think bringing offside into the equation would make it very, very messy. I think for now, I think this is all right. But one thing that I kind of wanted to clarify, or I think FIFA has to clarify, is firstly, when there is a situation where VARs needs to be implemented, the referee or VARs, they will recommend each other whether a call should be reviewed, and then the VARs will look at the footage and then talk to the referee. Now they say that either the referee can accept the recommendation from VARs, or they can review the footage themselves. So I think if if it has to be transparent, then only one system has to be in place. You cannot have VARs recommend something and the referee then doesn't take it, or you either have the referee look at the footage, the big screen or whatever footage or video screen they have available beside the pitch. You give the entire accountability to the referee, because if you keep both doors open, I think it kind of creates a bit of a mess, I think, for me.
Absolutely, yeah, and I agree. And overall, other than the tempo itself, I guess the lighter point for me as well is that controversy and banter is how we grew up watching the game, and they'll take away a lot of it. So I guess the soul of the game, where you get to talk about it hours after, it'll go missing. But I guess it can be compensated with the fact that justice has prevailed. If it's an offside, we know if it's an offside. If it's a goal, we know it's a goal. And the fairer team gets a goal. So I guess it makes sense from that. But I still think if it takes too long to introduce any of it, it just takes away the tempo, the overall, and also the fact that there's been talks about how the argument is how the referees are not fit, because I won't say fit, but they haven't kept up to the fitness of how generationally the players have improved. Go back 30 years ago, the referees were pretty much in the same fitness levels as the players. But now, for example, the last goal that Real Madrid scored against Bayern, where Marcelo, ran past like a crazy, like a crazy runner, and the pace he went past, and it was at the dying minutes of the game. For the linesman, if you see the linesman, he was way behind, and it's impossible for anyone who's not a proper athlete to catch up to that level of play. So it's a bit of a introduction of that level of incompetence as well, where the linesman will be able to take a breather because of the refereeing of the video, the VARs. So. I understand that bit as well, but overall, I don't know, man. It just feels
I'm also on the fence with this one, because they're saying that the VARs can only be implemented for the match-changing situations, and the context is you can only review that to ensure that no clearly wrong decisions were given. Now they don't say that you can change the decision or not. Whether it's clearly wrong is dependent on how the referee perceives it, right? It depends on the context and how the referee sees it.
Exactly.
So again, it's not
vague. Yeah,
it's not
very vague,
really well defined. It's pretty vague. I mean, for me, if it's clearly wrong, and for you, it might not be clearly wrong. So how do you really justify that? So it's pretty interesting to say the least. But it has quite a few loopholes, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think they already trialed it in an A-League game. Where it took like a few minutes to judge a handball to see if it was a Plaantik or not. And there's that argument where the players keep playing on after a call, and meanwhile the video ref can keep on watching it until he gets a final. But as a player, I mean, you've played to a certain level, and so have I. As a player, imagine going through that, was that an offside? And then you just keep playing, and you could think that, within the next 4 to 5 minutes, they might trace it back saying, that call was wrong, so we have to go back and take the Plaantik, or we have to erase that goal off. That affects your game as well.
Yeah, definitely.
When you're playing. So
definitely, I think no player.
I mean, for me it would. I don't know about anyone else.
Yeah, definitely. I personally believe that the biggest concern for me is whether it disrupts the tempo and the intensity of a game. I mean, think about the Real Madrid versus Barcelona game that we saw a few days back, the El Clasico. I think that was the best El Clasico that I've seen in my 24 years on this planet. Yeah. But what if the VARs was there, and the referee had to review 5-4 decisions that he took there, and I just kept thinking that whether the tempo would have been affected, because the intensity and tempo of the game was I've never seen something like that. And it's so easy to think whether if there was a pause, if there was if the referee had to review some of his decisions, definitely we would not have seen such a massive, beautiful game, which was such a spectacle. So those are the things that really gets to me, because because the thing that I love about football is when the momentum is there, the game just lifts off and the atmosphere gets crazier. The tempo is intense, and everything just becomes more lively. And when you pause it, when you break it, I don't know whether you can pick it up again, because it's very difficult. And we've seen it with for example, when there's a halftime break, a team is in super control. They're controlling the tempo of the game. They're on top of the game, and then there's the halftime break or a substitution, for example, and then everything just changes. So it's very similar to that. So, and we see substitutions happening like 5-6 times in a game. Now, if VARs happens like another 4 or 5 times in a game, who knows what's gonna happen?
Yeah, but I guess the counter argument is that if if there's a red card that was wrongfully used, or then it destroys the game as well. Or if there's a goal that was offside given, it changes the shape of the game for the others as well. So I guess there are counter arguments, but nice subtle hint of you being a 24-year-old to the ladies. I know.
I was just being truthful here.
So we will end it there. Thanks, Ahnaf, again for taking time to do it with us. And thank you if you've been listening to us thus far. I know it hasn't been the best of our podcast, but hey, at least it's a podcast episode. We're almost at the end of the season, so 2 more episodes and that's it. Thank you again. And before we end, what do you think? If you think that video assistant referees are needed, then please comment below saying why. And if you think it's a waste of time, do the same. Let us know and we'll get into conversation. So thank you again for your time, and we'll catch you again hopefully next week, but sometime soon. Until then, keep calm and don't miss the Plaantik.